What is going on, guys? And it is time for an updated Batman reading order. I know I said that the Spider-Man one would be coming first and then this Batman one. Scheduling conflicts. We're just gonna go ahead and do this one because I actually have the books. Spider-Man 1, still working on that. Sorry, that video's still in the works. But let's begin. So, the reason I'm doing another version of the Batman reading order is because last time it wasn't very good. Number one, the production quality of the channel has just increased, and I've gotten much more books that are actually quintessential. There's still a few things that are just out of print that are impossible to get. And I'll talk about some books that aren't Batman that I think are important and can help you. As you can see, I have Batgirl Year 1. I don't have Robin and Nightwing because those are long out of print. So is this one. I just happened to find it at a comic shop. So there are still a few things missing, but I actually have all the Batman books that I need. Some tie-ins, I don't have, but I think this is a good start if you want to get into the character of Batman. And of course, we're going to start after Crisis, because all that is Golden Age, Silver Age, and that's not really my cup of tea for both Marvel or DC. Few exceptions, but, So, this will be part 1 of most likely 3, maybe 4. We will have to see, just depending on scheduling. And at the end of part 3, I will talk about some Elseworld tales that are important to some good Batman stories that are not canon. And I'm gonna try to post these like every day, these 3 parts, but let's just get started. All right, so let's begin where it begins. I don't know. Okay, so we got Batman Year 1. Obviously, this is where you start. This is Year 1. This is origin. After Crisis, every superhero kind of had their, new origin. Born to Run for Flash, Green Lanterns, that Emerald Night, Emerald Twilight, something like that. Superman had Man of Steel. Wonder Woman had George Perez. Batman had Batman Year 1. Written by Frank Miller. Not a fan of Frank Miller, but sometimes he writes really good stories, and this is certainly one of them. That's a hot take of mine. So this is, yeah, look at that. I love this artwork as well. Has kind of a Golden Age style to it, I feel like. And, look at that. I've talked about this book a lot, but basically, this is showing the first year of him as Batman, where the police hate him, and kind of everybody hates him. So, yeah. This introduces us to Carmine Falcone, Catwoman, Commissioner Gordon. It's obviously, I think, the best jumping on point, because, this resets everything, so. Eventually, I'd like to get the Absolute to go with this pretty book right here. I want to start increasing my Absolute collection. It'd be cool if I could get, Absolute Year 1, Absolute Dark Victory, and Long Halloween, and, have, those early years all in Absolute. But those books are really expensive, and they honestly don't collect a lot. They just are huge, so that's why they're so expensive. But, my dog is barking. That's great. Okay, but yeah, that is the first book there, Batman Year 1. So, the next book I suggest is Batman the Man Who Laughs. This is a great way to be introduced to to Joker, and it's written by Ed Brubaker, Doug Mahnke. And it's short, it's only 2 issues, but I think it's a perfect way to be introduced to the Clown Prince of Crime. Now, don't get it confused with Batman, the Batman Who Laughs. It's Batman the Man Who Laughs. And it's really cool, and it's dark, and so it has that, golden, early years of Batman. He's still a detective, figuring things out, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. It's basically him killing politicians, and Batman having to figure out who he is, what's going on, and this also collects a few issues in the back here. Some Tim Sale artwork. It's like him with Alan Scott, the Golden Age Green Lantern, and I think there's one with Swamp Thing in here. No, it's just this one. I'm thinking of another book, and some other stuff in here. So yeah, that's a great point. I did want to mention Haunted Night is something you could read. You could read it. I would suggest it, but I don't own it, because, it's not a book that I really like, and honestly, it's just kind of introducing you to some more Rogues Gallery. A lot of people really like it, but I didn't. So I have the Long Halloween here. Eventually I'll get Dark, or Haunted Night. But this is Long Halloween, an iconic story that every Batman fan should read at some point, with incredible artwork by Tim Sale, and it's written by the legendary Jeff Loeb. And it introduces you to a lot of other criminals, given the origin of Two-Face in here, and it's basically some killer is murdering the Falcone and Maroni family on these different holidays. And the killer is known as Holiday. And so it's a great way to be introduced into the crime aspect of Gotham with, like, Falcone and Maroni and Two-Face, and a ton of the Rogues Gallery appear in here as well. Joker, Catwoman, Penguin, Poison Ivy, a ton in here. Calendar Man, as you can see. Like, a ton of Rogues Gallery show up. And so I think it's a great way to be introduced to a bunch of these iconic characters into this new timeline for Batman. Next one, Batman the Dark Victory, which is the follow-up to Long Halloween. And this book is very important because it introduces Dick Grayson, Robin. And obviously that's kind of important. And so yeah, that I like this book a lot. I think obviously Long Halloween's better, but I really like it. And I mean, most people like it. It's kind of doing the same thing. It's like basically cops are being murdered and there's like a little puzzle. So in a way it's kind of the same thing, but they're different. There are obviously there's a bunch of differences there. They're not the same, but I really like it. I need to reread this one actually. I think I need to reread this one. Because, like, no one talks about it. They just talk about Long Halloween. But I really like this one a lot. And, again, it introduces you to Robin. So, kind of a bit important. Look at that. Tim Sale artwork in here. And someone, like, cuts off Falcone's finger. Or, like, the corpse. So, there's a Dick Grayson. So, as you can see him on the cover. So, I did want to put Robin Year One, but those Year One books are long out of print. I think we're getting a new version of them, like a box set this year, but I'm not waiting that long just to get a box set. So there's like, I just happened to look out and find Batgirl Year One, which is the next book, because it introduces Batgirl Barbara Gordon. Her meeting Robin and Batman for the first time, and it's really good. Eventually, I would... Oh, here we go. Eventually, I would like to read the other ones, but they're... these are not easy to get. The deluxe editions, the trade paperbacks, they're all out of print. I just happened to find one at a comic shop. Super lucky. So yeah, this is a really good, I think, a good way to be introduced to Batgirl. Because a lot of people don't really know when Batgirl gets introduced. She just kind of is there. And I think this is a good point. You have Robin, Dick Grayson, so you gotta have Batgirl being introduced as well. Another book I don't own, Nightwing Year One, because, Robin leaves. And that leads into Second Chances. Or something like that. Batman's Second Chances, I think. Yeah, it's when it introduces Jason Todd. That book is like hundreds of dollars just for the trade. Again, certain Batman books, genuinely, I just have to luck out and find them, so it's hard to get. So we're going to have to, there's a bit of a jump here to the next book. But there's I was thinking that Death in the Family is next. But I actually think that, actually no. Scratch that. Alright, so I'm being super confusing here. But here we have A Death in the Family. Well, this collects both A Death in the Family and A Lonely Place of Dying. If you get this trade, which is, by the way, it's a really good trade, don't read A Lonely Place of Dying yet. Just read A Death in the Family. Read all that. It's 4 issues. It's really good. Showing Jason Todd dying. A lot of the Jason Todd Robin books are super out of print. There's like Batman the Cult and a lot of these books that are not easy to find. But read, this book here. But stop whenever you get to A Lonely Place of Dying. Stop there, because we got something in between. So I'm going to put this book to the side for now. And next up we have this beauty, Batman the Killing Joke. It's a huge book, so it's going to be kind of hard to get out with one hand. But this is the Absolute Edition. So let's look at this here. This thing here. Let me just. Okay. There we go. Perfect. All right. Just had to do that really quickly. But this is a beautiful book. All of these absolutes are super expensive. This one's actually pretty cheap because it's literally 2 issues, so it's not collecting much. But they add a lot in here. So you obviously have these. I honestly think the modern colors look better with Brian Boland's artwork. A lot of people like the original colors, which it does collect as well. So if you want to, whichever one you prefer. But I actually prefer this modern, like the recoloring. I think it looks better with the book. So at first this wasn't canon, but now it is. Basically, he's trying to break the bat, or one bad day is the whole thing here. He's saying one bad day can break somebody, and so he shoots Barbara Gordon, takes photos of her naked, and shows them to her. It's a messed up story, but it's so good. I love it. It's pretty iconic and creepy, and the artwork, I think, adds on to that with this incredible Brian Boland artwork. And so again, here's the original colors in case you like that. Whichever one you prefer, you get in this book, and then a ton of scripts in the back, and then you have some like extra, art in here. So yeah, that's The Killing Joke. We got to do this again. Okay, so after reading The Killing Joke, basically Batman's just going through a rough time. Jason Todd's dead. Batgirl is out of commission because, he got shot. So she's out. Great, this again. Okay, I have a lot of issues with the ribbon. Always, I'll deal with this. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Okay. We'll deal with that later. So now you go back to this book and go ahead and read A Lonely Place of Dying, which introduces Tim Drake. Basically, he's a super smart kid, and he thinks that Batman needs a Robin. So he tries to get Dick Grayson to come back. But, Dick Grayson's Nightwing. So that's when he becomes, he becomes Robin, Tim Drake. So basically, the next book is not a Batman book, but I think it's pretty important because it sets up something that happens later. The death of Superman. Spoilers: Superman dies. He's long gone. He gets his butt kicked by Doomsday, and so this is important. Here we go. Here is the. That's cool. So yeah, that's important, number one, just because it's a huge book that has a lot of importance to it. But there's another reason. Because basically, DC has made a lot of money. Superman's death made a lot of money. It was on the news. And so DC went, we should do this. How about we cripple another iconic character? So that leads us into Nightfall. But before you read Nightfall, you need to read Sword of Azrael, which introduces a quintessential character for that. It's super important that you read this here, because you will be lost if you don't, because it introduces Jean-Paul Valley, who is Azrael, who basically starts training with Batman at the end of this book, and that will lead into Nightfall. You'll get why. I'm gonna have to spoil some stuff here. Now, some of it I think everybody knows by the cover here. We get introduced to the character of Bane, and he wants to break the bat, basically. And so he frees all the criminals. Batman's sick and he's tired, and so Bane figures out where Batman lives. He finds out his secret identity, and breaks the bat. And so he's out of commission for a while, so we need a new Batman, So you get Jean-Paul Valley in here, and he kind of is, first he gets his new suit. This event goes on for way too long. I like Nightfall, but it could have been way shorter. This went on forever. There's 3 omnibuses of it. That's how long. This thing went on forever, bro. Here's Nightfall Part 2, or Night Quest. I didn't need the omnibuses. As long as I get the main stuff, that's fine. I don't need all of the tie-ins, because that's a lot. It's not the best event. I really like Volume 1 with Batman trying to get all these criminals into, back into Arkham, and then, getting their back broken. But then it kind of goes on forever. It kind of no longer becomes a Bane book, and it's now about John Paul Valley as... And I love this artwork, too. Look at that. So, I love this Batman armor. It's iconic. I love it. So, it's Batman Nightfall here. And he starts to go a little cuckoo. And somehow, based on the comic book science, Bruce is able to get his back working again. Just go with it. It's comics. Nothing makes sense. But he is able to get his back working, which leads us into the final volume, Night Send. Or Night's End. We don't know. Night's End, Night's End. We don't know what the order is, but there's a bit of an issue here. So, Batman comes back, or Bruce, Batman, yeah. And so they fight. And, who's gonna be Batman? They can't decide, and that ends up with, him coming back, obviously. This event went on forever. Here's their So yeah, by the end of it, Batman's back. So that's the end of part 1. We're gonna end it off here, and stay tuned for part 2. I don't know when it'll come out. We're probably gonna be looking at Batman Hush to the end of New 52, probably. It may not. It might be shorter. It might not collect as many, because there's. I'm gonna be talking about a lot of tie-ins as well. So it probably won't be that long. It'll probably be less. But that at the moment is what we're going to be talking about in that one. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Please consider liking this video, subscribing, and I will see you guys next time. And stay geeky.